Alright, we are back on sports, and I will say this right now. I'm very disappointed in my Philadelphia Eagles. They're going to start off with that, okay? And I say this because, before anyone gets me wrong here, I want to give the Eagles credit, okay? Because you fought like hell to get back in that game and win. And when I mean fight, I mean not just the physical fighting that you did. You were fighting injuries. You were fighting to get points back. I mean, you just fought and you fought and you fought. I mean, Foles taking a mass amount of hits and showing his toughness. You just kept fighting and you won. I'm proud of you for that. But understand, a lot of this that happened last night, or should I say yesterday, is also on the Eagles as well. Redskins fans, you have every right to be upset too. Because this game should have not been each team gives up 30-plus points. This is not a shootout game. Okay? Don't sit here and tell me with these type of offenses and these defenses, because as we know, when we talked about it, I saw some of you guys' comments in the comment box last week, and some of us talked on Twitter about it. Both our secondaries have problems, serious problems. Okay, so both teams' fan bases were very open about that. Now I will put it like this: Eagles, you came out in the first half and you played a lot better than what you did, in the previous 2 weeks. Okay, you did. So I'm not going to get on you about that. However, what bothers me is the fact that, once again, Michael Kendricks is not playing, and what did I say? I'd be damned if Casey Matthews would start. Casey Matthews did not start. However, it's the same problem. We're not getting any pressure to the quarterback to move him off the spot when you're shooting the gap. That's a problem. All right? And all day Kirk Cousins had to throw. This guy threw for what? He was 30 for 45 or something like that, 427 yards and 3 touchdowns or something like that. He only had 1 interception. This guy, Redskins, you found your quarterback. You found a quarterback. We already know that they talked about how he was best for the, we talked about last week. He was best for your system. This guy shows that he's poised, he's under control, he knows what he's doing. It's that simple. If this guy can put up that many yards and play the way he has, sitting in the pocket, that's right, sitting in the pocket, then really, to be quite honest, you really don't need RG3 at this point. I'm saying it. I understand it's only 2 games, but this guy, clearly, what he did to our defense gave up over 500-plus yards yesterday. That doesn't happen. You understand? It doesn't happen much. Our defense gave up 500-plus yards. The Redskins knew what they were doing on offense, but here's the thing. I got to talk about this because I'm going to have to say something about Redskins 11, Deshaun Jackson, all right? I'm going to talk about him a little bit, down the stretch, but also understand, Deshaun Jackson, you cannot catch your first pass because remember, everyone said, oh, he's hurt, his shoulder. I want you to remember that he's supposed to be hurt, okay? His shoulder. Catches his first pass, what does he do? Push our defender. Starts acting like a punk, all right? And then you have your players on the sidelines cheering him on for it. You gotta be kidding me. And Nate Allen comes to defend his player and pushes Deshaun Jackson back. And what happens? He gets flagged. I never understood this, whether it's in sports or in life, okay? Whether it's just referees not looking at who's committing these problems, who's baiting people to do these things, or when it comes to the law and aggravated assault or whatever. When you have somebody who was constantly pushing you, poking you, prodding you, doing these things to get a rise out of you, and then you do it, there's no way in hell the person who has been pushed to that point should be blamed for it. No, it should be the person who's instigating it, who's initiating it. But for some reason, that never happens. And I don't understand this. NFL refs did a bad job yesterday. Really bad job. I will talk about that a little later, okay? But this guy purposely thought that he was so great. And I don't understand why. Deshaun Jackson decided, now mind you, Washington fans, for those who don't know what's going on, for those who are just caught up in one pass, all right, this guy had 4 receptions for 36 yards. Damn near all game. Okay? After that, he had 1 big play, which, as we know, what's his name? Carey Williams can't cover to save his damn life. Because it's amazing, because if you watch the rest of the game, every time he made a tackle or something, he's hooting, hollering, beating his chest. He gets torched, and all of a sudden, he gets mad and throws a fit on the sidelines. Yeah, he's mad about himself, but then he goes on after the game to talk about how he's mad at Chip Kelly because, and I'm going to put the link in the info bar, he's questioning, the practice ethic. Oh, there's too much practice. When you get burned like that, there's a good reason why you need more practice. Okay? I don't want to hear that the practice is a problem. Now, I will say this. Okay? Deshaun Jackson caught a bomb, and what did I say on Twitter? I said, this guy's never going to shut up now. Never. And, for a person who's supposed to be hurt, because Jay Gruden, I'll put the link in the info bar as well, okay? Talks about how, Deshaun's not good for us, if he's not 100%. He looked 100% out there to me. He had no problem pushing people right with his bad shoulder. He had no problem taunting people when he scored a touchdown, right? Flag doing the Eagles, flocking and throwing the kick. He had no problem with that, right? Okay then. Acting like he was flying, I don't want to hear this. He's fine. There's nothing wrong with him. If he had all that energy and all that do that, but here's the thing. People get caught up in the fact that he made one play, right? It took him 4 quarters to get the damn play, all right? But after that, in the tight part of the game, near the end of the game, where was he again? Where was he? Oh, that's right. He disappeared again, like he's been doing here in Philadelphia for years. You understand that, right? Now, I will say this. There was a lot of despicable things that we saw. The Redskins did a great job containing the run with LaShawn McCoy. However, their fan base, I wouldn't even say it's their fan base, all right? Because y'all saw what happened on Twitter yesterday when I went after some guy. He was like, I hope LaShawn McCoy gets injured. Who says this? Oh, I forgot. People who aren't fans, who aren't sports fans. These guys are trying to make a living and trying to provide for their family. And you want somebody to get injured because of your team is losing. That's your excuse. And then, of course, the guy was too cowardly to come back at me. We kept subtweeting. And what did I say? I guarantee I said, it's been a couple minutes. I bet you he's still subtweeting about me. And I went over to his Twitter and showed y'all he was still subtweeting like a coward. All right, I don't want to hear this, man. Look, Redskins, I'm not going to blame your fan base for that. Okay? Clearly, you have people that are in your fan base, and everyone has it in their fan bases too. Okay? So it's not just you who acts like idiots. I don't consider them fans as far as I'm concerned. So I'm not going to hold you against that. All right? But there's a lot of calls that the refs missed. And this is a problem. Because there's a number of plays where helmet-to-helmets were happening and nothing was called. One play, the Eagles had to challenge if a Redskins player was down by contact. Because the refs missed it. How the hell you miss a down by contact? Seriously. And this is what we have to use our challenge on. See, I don't understand what these refs are doing. And Redskins, you fans, you came to me, he was like, well, you got a lot of calls in the third quarter. I don't care if we got a lot of calls in the third quarter. A penalty is a penalty. Is if you miss a play and then you go back and you correct it. It's that simple. Fans, whether it was on the Redskins side, because the Redskins, they had a lot of screw jobs as well. Should we talk about the linebacker that was covering Zach Ertz, and they called pass interference on him? And this is a technicality, okay? Because I said this on Twitter. Because the guy didn't turn around and look at the ball like he was looking while he was covering, because he kept looking straight at him and trying to stop him, that is a pass interference. However, if you look at the coverage, it's damn good coverage. He didn't do anything wrong other than he didn't turn his head. It's a technicality. This is the problem that we're having right now. Like I said, and that was the Redskins player. I got to give him credit. It was the linebacker. That was good coverage. They got screwed on that one as far as I'm concerned. But the players have to understand that you can't just do what you want. And when we're seeing all this fighting, and yes, we're going to talk about the dirty hit. Listen, Nick Foles, he took so many hits, yesterday? He showed toughness, all right? You can't even take it from him. And I'm happy to see that people stuck up for him, his teammates. But during these little skirmishes back and forth and all this pushing, we're seeing flopping. And yes, Eagles fans, our players are guilty of it.
It was a dead ball, flag on the play. Maybe it was blown dead.
Come on, man. He didn't even push you that hard. Don't even sit here and tell me I'm supposed to support that. I can't support that. That's garbage. And some of you were saying, well, at least he didn't fake his death. Yeah, all right. And for those who don't know what we're talking about, this is what we're talking about players on the field faking their death. Whoever coached that player to tell them to do that, they should be fired. Bottom line. Don't sit here and tell me that you're going to fake your death like some type of cartoon character. You ever see the Looney Tunes cartoons where they fall back with the flower in their hand and just fall back? That's what he did. Don't sit here and tell me that was going to be such a big distraction that all of a sudden you want to get something off of that. You understand you're leaving the right side of the field open, right? To their advantage, right? Whoever decided that play was going to work, they deserve to be fired. You know nothing about football as far as I'm concerned. All right? Yeah, it's funny to watch, but if you think about it from a competitive standpoint, that is a joke. Disgusting joke. And I'm sure people who saw it, like, whoever's in charge should have been just like, oh my God, you've got to be kidding me. You really thought this was going to work? You know how much money they have into these teams? Like, come on, man. You know how much money they put into winning? Yeah. I'm saying, if I was one of those people who put money into winning for that team, I would be pissed. I would be. It's ridiculous. All right? But we're going to move on. We're going to talk about more. Because you have to understand, I've seen as of late this morning, because a lot of Eagles fans have talked to me since yesterday to this morning about Washington fans once again Washington fans are okay with what happened to Nick Foles. Now, for those who don't know what happened to Nick Foles took a shot, okay? He threw it. They say he threw an interception, but it wasn't an interception. It was an incomplete pass, but at the time they didn't know, okay? So they're running it back. This is a change of possession. Nick Foles is not paying attention. Why? Because he's not attentive. He's just standing there and he's looking, all right? You should know by now, all right? Redskins players, fans, it is illegal to blindside hit a person, a player, especially a quarterback, all right? During change of possession. They've been making this rule for the last 7-10 years. They've been trying to enforce it, okay? It is a blindside hit, and for people to sit here and say, the player on Washington Redskins, what he did wasn't wrong. Yes, he did. It's illegal. Which started a big fight. Did it not? Okay. And his excuse was that it was okay. It's not okay. It's a football play. No, it's not. And here's the thing you have to understand, okay? When the fight happened, Jason Peters went after the guy. He was ejected. The other guy was ejected. And any football coach will tell you, if you are going to get ejected for fighting, that's the way you get ejected. Because you're standing up for somebody on your team. That's why you get ejected. That's why the coach never gets on people like that. Okay? That's exactly why. But I will put it like this. For this guy excuse, I want you to hear what he says. Because he should be suspended. Alright? And I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, he shouldn't be suspended. He was ejected. He was fine. I'm not talking about the hit on why he should be suspended. His comments afterwards is why he should be suspended.
I made a football play, and I got punched in the face. I didn't do anything wrong besides make a football play and defend myself after, getting hit. But if I could do it again, I'll do it again.
Hold up. See, this is what I'm talking about. So now he's going to try to make himself look like the victim. I just made a football play, and then I had to defend myself. Oh, woe is me. No! You did something wrong. Don't sit here and act like you're the victim in this. And here's why he should be suspended. Because he says, if he had to, he'd do it again. He didn't learn from this situation. So what does that tell you? He'll do it again if the opportunity arises. And he talks about, later down the line, it happened to me earlier in that game and nothing was called. That doesn't make it right. It just means the refs missed the call. And we've seen this time and time again in that game. The refs missed a bunch of calls for both teams. That doesn't justify what you did. However, he's just going to make it seem that way. He's the victim. If you don't get out of my face with this, you've got to be kidding me. And Washington fans, you're going to sit here and you're going to say that's okay. He didn't learn his lesson from this situation, and he'll do it again. So since he's already telling you ahead of time that he'll do it again, he should be suspended for not learning. But it seems like that's okay for some reason. That's stupid. But, speaking of the fight, okay, I want to go back to Deshaun Jackson because, he was so easy to push people. He was so easy, to flap around. And he always talks about how he's about that life. That's interesting because during the fight, we saw this. Teammates are getting into skirmishes, backing each other, and you sitting on the side just watching. And don't tell me about your shoulder because, like I said, if you can do all that type of stuff, if you can push people and you can taunt and all that, you have no problem, once again, getting in the middle of people. Don't tell me that it's okay. You didn't back your team. Goes to show you what he's about, people. And I don't want to hear it. Alright? I don't. So, I will put it like this. I will say about this with Redskins fans, and this is really pissing me off. I'm going to defend Redskins fans here for a minute, alright? For those who did not see last week with RG3 when he got hurt. That's right. He came to the press conference, and they told him to turn his shirt inside out because of his belief. That is absolutely ridiculous. And I will put it like this. So let's get this straight. You can show Michael Sam kissing his boyfriend on TV, which I don't have a problem with. I don't care, okay? But if you can show him doing that, you should let RG3 wear a shirt. It was okay for back in the day Reggie White to be a minister, right? You built that, right, didn't you? Okay, it was okay for Tim Tebow to kneel on the field and have his religion splashed all over the place. You didn't have a problem with that. Matter of fact, he had John 3:16 under his eyes. But for some reason, RG3 isn't allowed to wear that shirt because it may offend someone. Are you serious, NFL? We've seen this in the previous couple of weeks with the NFL being so inconsistent, it's ridiculous, have we not? And you're going to sit here and tell me you're going to make him switch his shirt? I'm sorry, but if the organization told you to do it, RG3, I wouldn't have did it. I'm sure your teammates would have backed you on it. That is your belief. It's not really offending anyone. But if Tim Tebow could be a poster boy for the years he was in the NFL using religion, don't you dare sit here and tell me that all of a sudden RG3 wearing a shirt has to be turned inside out. I'm not trying to hear that at all. Now, I will put it like this. Like I said, the Eagles, I was very upset with the score. Redskins, I was very upset with the score with you because you didn't learn anything. Neither team learned anything. This was not supposed to be a shootout. If anything, with those front linemen, all right, offense and defense, understand that this is something that should have been a really grinding game. It really should have. Now, I will put it like this, all right? Eagles, we have injuries again. That's right. Jason Kelsey, he's hurt. So he won't be playing against the 49ers. And I damn near guarantee you the 49ers are going to be tougher than the Redskins, all right? Regardless of what's happened in the previous 2 weeks with the 49ers. They're looking for a win. And we go right into their house. So I will put it like this. We got to get Kendricks back on defense. Defense has to work extra hard this week in order to... Because, seriously, are you going to contain Cap? And I'm not even just talking about running. No, we're talking about his passing. We're talking about, look at the weapons they have on the 49ers. Their secondary, you want to question their secondary? Okay, fine. But understand, even yesterday, and I will put it like this, okay, Brian Westbrook, again, I'm not even going to show you the clip because that's how pissed off I am at him. Eagles fans, he did it again. And he sat here and said that the Washington Redskins have the blueprint now to contain LaShawn McCoy and Darren Sproles. Yeah, because the way they played yesterday is how you contain running backs. What doesn't Brian Westbrook understand? Just because they contain McCoy and Sproles, you understand we almost put up 40 on them, right? You understand that? For people to say that now the blueprint is out there, no, the blueprint isn't out there. All right? What you need to do, Eagles, and I'm saying this from my opinion, by watching the game, you start with the run, it opens up the play-action pass. Instead of throwing the passes sideways, all right, you got to throw downfield. Why? Because when you throw downfield, it keeps the defense honest. Then you can start throwing your screen passes and all these other things. That's how you can start decoying things and disguising things. That's how it works. If you think that we're going to come out and throw sideways all damn day or run the ball, and this is why I understand, Chip Kelly, why did you keep running McCoy to the strong side? He had more success running to the weak side on the number of limited plays that you gave him on the weak side than he did on the strong side. I don't understand this. But you kept running him on the strong side, knowing that Washington was not going anywhere with that. Washington had it locked down. But yet, you kept doing it. I don't understand why. But, I guess it doesn't matter, right? Look, the NFC in general looked bad yesterday. It did. The Cowboys, and I'm going to talk about the Cowboys. The Cowboys they gave up 30-plus points. The Eagles and Redskins played each other. They gave up 30-plus points. The Giants gave up 17 points. I still don't see a contender here for us Eagles fans just yet. Just yet, all right? But yet, as soon as the Cowboys came back from beating the Rams, which, if you ask me, you shouldn't have been down to the Rams to begin with, Cowboys fans, but you're going to have people like Skip Bayless praise you for coming back and not looking at the facts and getting on Eagles fans, telling Eagles fans, you better be careful because the Cowboys are coming for you. Skip Bayless. See, Skip Bayless has this thing where we call diarrhea of the mouth, all right? Because he doesn't know when to shut up, and he gets himself put in a box. First off, Dallas shouldn't even be worried about us Eagles. You want to know why? Because Dallas has other teams they got to play before us. You focus on one team a week. Don't listen to Skip Bayless. He don't know what he's talking about, all right? But if you think that we're scared of the Cowboys, you must be crazy. Come on now, that defense is still piss poor. You almost got beat by, you should have got beat by a Rams team with a backup quarterback in. But we're not going to talk about that, right? You got Des Bryant yelling at Murray on the sidelines. They getting ready to fight. Come on, man. Don't give me this. Like I said, get yourselves together before you decide you want to talk to the Eagles. We're 3-0 right now. 3-0. I'm not trying to hear it. Now, we may possibly lose to the 49ers. It's going to be a tough game, as far as I'm concerned. But with the right planning and the right personnel, we can win this game. The biggest problem I'm having right now looking is really how to contain Kaepernick. Because as you know, if he's not going to throw the ball, and the guy can throw the ball, but you know if he runs, he is dangerous when he runs. And that's going to be a problem for our linebackers and our secondary. I'm not even going to say our front seven. Our front seven can only contain but so much, especially when they're not getting pressure. They didn't get any pressure on Kirk Cousins. What the hell makes you think they'll get pressure on Kaepernick? They better come out and they better change up some schemes or something. Start disguising some blitzes. Because it seems like this week and last week, third downs, when quarterbacks are spreading their wide receivers out, you're full on blitzing. Why? I don't understand this. But it seems like you're not playing the coverage, and this is why third down conversion rate, if you looked at it, it was very high for the Redskins. Eagles can't get a stop that, but they didn't stop much. They were like, what, in the fourth quarter, the Redskins were 8 for 12 or something like that for third down conversions. 8 for 12. It's very high. But it seems like nobody really wants to look at things for what they are. Now, I do want to talk about the rest of the NFL. The Chargers won. Congratulations to Chargers. Broncos, Seattle. Okay, let's get this out of the way, okay? Best corner in the game got torched, all right, on a 2-point conversion to keep the game in. Peyton Manning turned into some type of robot near the end of the game, but they still lost, all right? Why? Because Seattle has better personnel than Denver. They just do. Whether you like to admit it or not. And the thing is, everyone's praising Peyton Manning for the comeback and everything. They still lost. You can only do but so much. One man can only do but so much. If Peyton Manning goes down, you might as well kiss the Broncos goodbye. You might as well. The Chargers seem to be more equipped than the Broncos at this point. But let's keep going. Pittsburgh beat Carolina, and they didn't just beat Carolina. I mean, they railroaded Carolina. I didn't expect that because Carolina has a hell of a defense. I did not expect that, pretty much that ass beating last night. That was ridiculous. Other games, you had Cleveland. I didn't think they were going to lose that game. Like I said, here's the thing about our schedule here in Philadelphia. Usually on Sundays, we get one game on Fox, we get one game on CBS. CBS has the AFC game, Fox has the NFC game. That's how it works here, okay? And they usually run at the same time. So you can keep flipping back and forth if you want, or split your screens or whatever. Here's the problem, all right? In the previous couple of weeks, they've only played one game. Whether one game's just on CBS, one game is on Fox. So I didn't get a chance to see the Cleveland Browns play the Baltimore Ravens, but the last time I checked on Twitter and the ticker, the bottom ticker, the Browns were winning. And then I found out that the Ravens won via field goal. I'm like, really? Really? So they just couldn't stop anybody, huh? What happened there? I didn't see it. But I thought that's kind of ridiculous. The Browns should have won that game. Then again, the Browns should have beat Pittsburgh too. Browns should be 3-0 right now, but it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. If you don't execute, then you're going to lose. That's simple. The team has a lot of work to do. Are they contenders? I'm not going to say this year. No. They have potential. I'm not going to say they're contenders this year. Not just yet. Maybe next year. Unless they can get into some type of rhythm within midseason, they may make the playoffs. They may. But the way Cincinnati is looking, Cincinnati looks like they out to kill. I don't know what's going on out there. I don't know if this is one of those things where Cincinnati is going to, do really good the first half of the season and then start to teeter off. I don't know. Arizona looked good. All right? I didn't think they were going to beat the 49ers, but they did. With a backup. All right? I believe it was a backup because I don't think Carson Palmer's back yet, right? So, once again, Cardinals doing what they have to do to get done. They're 3-0 as well. The Saints won yesterday. You know what I mean? Like, there's a number of teams that are still hungry for wins. You can't really count anybody out, but I will put it like this. Dallas, do not speak our name. And it's not even Dallas. It's Skip Bayless trying to hype it up. That's what it is. Skip Bayless, don't speak our name. You don't like us as it is. ESPN has showed last week they didn't like us as it is. But Super Bowl though, right? You don't like us, don't talk about us. Yet today, if you go on ESPN, I'm sure you'll see some highlights of Eagles, Redskins. What people don't understand is that if you go on our local channels cover so much more. So when you see me take a pot shot at ESPN, it's because our local channels, they cover more on the game, and they show you exactly what's going on. But, of course, that's what local stations do, right? However, they have a different outlook than local channels do. And this is where you hear fans start to say, well, ESPN is biased, East Coast, West Coast. We heard this for years. Did we not? Not just with football, but also with basketball and also with baseball. We saw this, all right? And this is why. Because when your local channels decide to cover stuff in depth, and then they give you the facts, like, for example, I'll explain. CSN this morning said that the Eagles, when Nick Foles threw that interception, that it wasn't an interception, that it was an incomplete pass, which is correct, because it was called back as an incomplete pass when they looked at it upon the footage. ESPN today showed when Nick Foles got hit. They said when Nick Foles threw an interception, he was hit maliciously by, the Redskins player. And then they didn't say anything after that, like about the interception. They didn't say it was an incomplete pass. They let it go and started talking about the drama that happened with the fight and never came back to it. See, this is what they do. So they're misleading the public. If someone said, okay, well, Nick Foles, you watch on ESPN, he threw an interception. Then you look at his stats and say, wait a minute, he doesn't have an interception under there. Or you start arguing with other fans and they say, he didn't have an interception. And you say, well, he did. ESPN said it. And they say, well, look, here's the stats. He didn't have one. That's what happens. They fail to inform at times. And this is something that we have to talk about now. And it's not just the media. We're talking about the NFL in general failing to inform. Now, we know what happened last week with Ray Rice. Did we not? All right? Roger Goodell came out and he had his little press conference. And this is why people don't like Roger Goodell. Especially myself. Okay? Because you can't come out here and talk about how the NFL are trying to get things right and try to get it nailed down on time when you're 15 minutes late to your own press conference. I don't understand how that works. I find it really funny that Roger Goodell had his press conferences. For those who don't know, he sidestepped all these questions. All of them. And I understand some of them he had to because of legal issues. I understand that. But a lot of these, he just skated around. Now, I will put it like this. After Goodell came out and talked about these issues and how, the new drug policy, they're finally going to put in the HGH program, I have a problem with that. I do. Because how do you not have this already in place? We saw times where they would test for steroids and the Wizinator and things like that. The HGH program should have been a staple by now. It should have. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit more. Because for those who don't know, Anheuser-Busch came out and said they were disappointed in the NFL and how the players are acting. That's right. Anheuser-Busch. A beer company. The very same beer company, their alcohol causes fights. It causes, people to impair their judgment. People die from drunk driving. And a lot of people die from drunk driving every year. And then you'll say, oh, it's up to the person's responsibility. No. You can't be a beer company and speak morals. You can't do that. Nike comes out as well and drops Adrian Peterson and says, we don't condone child abuse. Okay, you don't condone child abuse, but you condone child labor. Right, Nike? Yeah, for those who don't know, that's exactly what's happening overseas when they make these products. Should we talk about Nike's irresponsibility? And I've done videos on this before. Their irresponsibility to keep people safe when you have your limited shoe releases, when people get hurt and killed. But you want to talk morals, huh, Nike? See, you have all these companies with these knee-jerk reactions, and they don't check themselves. And the NFL is now seeing this. The NFL decided they want to put this in place. They want to split, their drug program now. So for people like Wes Welker that ended up taking ecstasy, they want to put them in an abuse clinic. You've got to be kidding me here. And people who are taking hardcore steroids, that's a completely different program. Don't give me this. That's ridiculous. So you're going to crack down on domestic abuse. You're going to crack down on child abuse, but you're going to lighten the drug abuse policy. Because that's what it is. It's drug abuse. Don't sit here and tell me that. And anybody knows, if anyone's ever seen somebody take HGH or steroids, and you see somebody roid rage, trust me, that can happen to guys hitting their wives. That damn near equates. Like I said, I've seen a guy drop a pencil, and the guy would rage and start pushing over tables and everything because they couldn't control it. So those drugs that you're lightening on, right? You're lightening the penalties and fines on and suspensions on, can also equate to men hitting women or men hitting men or men against police officers or whatever. We've seen this time and time again. If you go back, look at the past of guys who have been caught doing drugs. All right? And I'm not talking weed or cocaine or anything. We saw what happened with LT with cocaine. We're not even talking about that. I'm talking about performance-enhancing drugs. We've seen this. But the NFL still doesn't get it right. And I understand the NFL is trying to please everyone, because that's what they're trying to do. And they're talking about how they're going to write up a new policy by next season. You just can't write up a new policy and have it, approved by next season. No, there's going to be a lot of, deliberations with that. But I can't believe the NFL is going to try to pull something like this. And then we find out, and this is what's fishy, okay? After Roger Goodell does his press conference, then all of a sudden, information comes out that the Baltimore Ravens had this information, was it like 3 weeks after the Ray Rice thing happened? And they were trying to cover it up. So now I find it funny that information like this comes out right after Roger Goodell. As far as I'm concerned, somebody has a lot of information and they want Goodell to fail. They want this NFL to suffer. There's no way that you can give out, slowly but surely, this information at pivotal times. No way. Somebody knows what they're doing. There's more to this than what we know, and they're just going to slowly but surely feed out information. It is not coincidence that as soon as he's done his press conference, a half hour later, we start getting all this new information about who knew about what. No. You have to be damn crazy to understand. And like I said, Roger Goodell said, you can't trust his word for it. Okay, well, if we can't trust your word, because he expects no one to trust his word, if we can't trust your word, why the hell are you having a press conference? But that's not all. Speaking of the Ravens, all right, Ray Lewis comes out and says about the NFL how there's things that you can cover up. That's right. And things that you can't.
It's some things you can cover up. And then there's some things you can't.
So now you got to ask, what the hell else are they covering up? What has been covered up in the past? That's what you got to ask. This is something that should be blown wide open when you say something like this. And this is what I mean about ESPN. When you keep guys like that on your roster to talk on the air, it makes you look bad. This is something that you can't ignore now. And then here's the funny part. Ray Lewis goes on to talk about how people don't have anything to worry about if they believe in God. Now this is where I get a little pissed off. All right? Bring it back to the RG3 thing. All right? When you sit here and you preach all day about God, and there are people in this world who believe in God so much, all right, but go through hell in their lives every day, do you know what you're saying, Ray Lewis? You're implying that they don't believe enough. Because look at you. Because you believe in God, this is what happened with you, and you made it, and you were, the slate was wiped clean. What about other people who do? And they haven't had the slate wiped clean. Or they've never had the opportunity to even have a chance, you know what I mean, to get out of a bad situation. Or they're just stuck in, this limbo forever. But they do believe in God. Are you going to say they're less of a believer? See, this is why you can't get on there and say certain things. It's one thing in RG3's case where he wore a shirt, that's his faith, that's what he believes. It's not like he's going around saying kill all whatever. No, he's not saying that. But then you have people like Ray Lewis who clearly opens up the box on ESPN and says, there's things that you can cover up and there's things that you can't. And here's the sad part. Afterwards, and here's a screenshot, because when he said that, I wanted to make sure this screenshot was talked about, because after he says this, this was the look on Boomer's face. Not only that, but for those who know Jameis Winston, the Heisman guy for FSU, he was suspended for half a game for his comments of what he said, okay? For half a game. Then before the game, they decided to suspend him for the whole game, which is like, okay, fine, because people were saying, what was the point of half a game? Here's the problem. ESPN, you showed him on the sidelines 48 times. 48 times throughout the game to see his reaction, because you didn't want to miss any reaction. You didn't want to miss any type of drama. What did I tell you? It is a sad day when people will trust TMZ over ESPN, Fox Sports 1, NBC Sports, or whatever sports. It goes to show you that they're not doing their job. Or they're barely doing their job. Even today, they had experts come out and say that ESPN, the people in the media, they blew this up to more than what it really was. He's already embarrassed enough, and then you do that to him on TV. So it just goes to show you that they have their own, their own agenda as well. Anyways, tonight, we have, at 7 o'clock, the Flyers preseason game. I will be watching that. We also have, Monday Night Football, right? And for those who are interested, also WWE Wrestling. They both come on at 8 o'clock. Also, we have, for those who don't know, Philadelphia Union Replay Soccer. That comes on tonight as well. So, tonight is a really big sports night. It's Stock to the Gills. Also, I'll be recording it, but for those who are interested on Fox, Gotham is coming on. So, should be an interesting day. So I'm done for this sports thing until I found some, until something big happens. Also, I just found out not too long ago via Twitter, Jason Kelce, even though he is injured, I thought he was just going to be out for the week. No, he's out for possibly 2 months. Yeah, let that sink in. On top of Evan Mathis being hurt. Our O-line is taking a beating. All right, Eagles fans, this is what I mean. It is time that we have all these hardcore practices. Also, Chip Kelly said he will talk to Carey Williams about his comments. So, that's all I have to say. I will talk to y'all later. Y'all be safe. I'm out.